Hey everyone, welcome back and welcome to build day 8. This is going to be the last build day for quite a little while. We're going to take a bit of a break having finished this rolling chassis today before we really dive into the engine and bodywork. The paint on the Octane has finally dried, and that means we can finally get around to getting all of our suspension components onto the car. A lot of these have been sitting in the garage collecting dust for the past couple of months, so first thing we're going to do is just get everything sorted out and put all the parts where they should be. We've also got all of our hardware ready. We just got to sort that as well, make sure that the right length bolts go with the correct control arms. And we're going to start out today with the rear of the Octane. If you recall from a couple videos ago, we already fit checked the rear suspension and put some wheels on it just for fun while we were wheeling the rear third around. So there shouldn't be any surprises today. We're going to go through the same process. We'll come back to the rear in just a moment. First, let's go ahead and get this front left corner put together. You can see we had to take the file to the upper control arm mount for just a moment, give it a little bit more breathing space, but overall, not bad. Before we install the knuckles on any of the corners, one of the things we have on our to-do list is to replace our lower ball joints. While our lower control arms were in pretty good shape when we got them, I did beat them up pretty good during the disassembly process, tearing a lot of the boots off of the ball joints, and they got a whole bunch of dirt and whatnot in them, so they weren't going to be good for the long run. So we figured we'd go ahead and replace these while we're at it. It's a lot easier to do it now before the knuckle's on than trying to go back later. With the new ball joint pressed into the lower control arm, we can install the knuckle, before then installing our tow rod. Now up to this point, you've only seen 3 corners be installed. There was a bit of an issue with the 4th. I was installing a bushing, and long story short, the bushing did not want to actually fully seat itself, ended up breaking a bolt, so I had to cut it off and use a different tool to fully seat the bushing. But now that we have that sorted out, we can actually go ahead and get this corner ready as well. I already replaced the ball joint in the lower control arm off screen, so we're going to go ahead and just put the knuckle on there. Next up's the steering rack. We've got to install our 4 mounts in the front down by the driver's feet. With the mounts in place, we can install our rack. There's 1 through bolt and 1 tapped hole on each side. We'll just snug everything up for now. The clevises on the end of the rack are adjustable, so we're just going to make sure that we center the rack and set these to a nominal distance, at which point we can then install the inner part of the tie rod as well as its protective boot. We're going to jump back to the rear for just a moment. We did do a bit of a DIY alignment using a tape measure, just making sure that our wheels are going to be pointed forward to keep our toe in check. We'll also do a bit of a camber check later on off screen. But once we were happy with the rears, we could actually jack that up and put the wheels on it. Keep in mind that we do plan on putting a Cristiano wheel cover over the outside of this. And once the rear wheels are installed, we can move on to the front. Now, I apologize for the lighting here. We had a bit of a storm passing through and power flashed once before actually going out completely. So we did end up installing the front 2 wheels before calling it a night and picking it back up the next day. We're going to do a couple more fine adjustments here. I thought I had dialed in the front toe, but looking at it, the two wheels were pointed towards each other a little bit too much toe in. So we're gonna go ahead and pull off the driver's left-hand wheel here, disconnect the tie rod, make our adjustment, and then reinstall everything. And just like that, she's on her own 4 wheels now. Now before anything else, we're going to lock in our alignment by tightening up the bolts for the upper and lower control arms. But once that's done, she's ready to roll. Now we haven't completely figured out the packaging of the steering column, but we can put a little dummy shaft in place that we have that we can connect our steering wheel to, and that'll just allow us to turn this thing a lot easier while we're pushing it. This Octane, even in its current state, is pretty heavy, but rolls and turns extremely well. So I'm really happy with how everything looks, with how everything feels. There are a couple more minor parts we're going to add prior to RLCS in Texas next week, but for the most part, this is what it's going to look like. For those of you that will be trying to meet us in person, I will put out a separate brief video just letting you know where we're going to be and when. That way you have all the information in one place, and I'll try and get that out here real soon as well. As for the rest of y'all, I'm sorry you're not going to be able to see us in person, but we'll make sure we take plenty of video and keep moving forward. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you soon.